When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this special edition of Connect With Me on MeTV Fresno. Today we're talking about the drought here in California, specifically the Central Valley, and what impact it has on farmers right here in our own backyard. Sorry to say no phone calls on this day, but we're going to have the mayor of Mendota in the house. We're back with our program in just a moment. Welcome back to the program here on Connect With Me on MeTV Fresno. As mentioned earlier, this is a special edition of Connect With Me. No phone calls in this day because we're talking about the drought, specifically right here in the Central Valley, where it's going to present quite a few problems and has already. Let's go to the videotape and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Of course, President Obama arrived aboard Air Force One just recently. It was his first appearance right here in the San Joaquin Valley, first appearance at Fresno Yosemite International Airport. And he arrived, of course, in grand style, as the president always does. There he is, coming off of Air Force One here in Fresno. And right behind him, Jim Costa, the congressman. He's a Democrat. Barbara Boxer, the senator, and the other senator from California, Dianne Feinstein, right behind the president as he comes down the stairwell off of Air Force One. But, you know, missing in the picture there is Devin Nunes, congressman from this area, as well as David Valadao. Both have really championed trying to get more water in this area, water storage. There is the president right there as he talked to Ashley Swearingen, the mayor of Fresno, as he came down, and now looking to board Marine One. People greeting him there. And, you know, what kind of an impact did the president's visit have here on the valley? I know he proposed more money, more than $100 million to the valley to try to combat the drought. And we'll talk about the various programs that money will go into with our mayor today. Live in our studio is Robert Silva. He is the mayor of Mendota. We're going to be talking to him. He knows all about what effect this is going to have on farmers here in the valley. Will that mean fewer fruits and vegetables? Will that mean higher prices at the grocery store? What will it specifically mean if this drought lasts any length of time? Sorry, no phone calls on this day, but this is a special edition of Connect With Me on the drought here in the Central Valley. We'll be back with the mayor in just a moment.
Don't you ever hit me again!
I think we got a hit on our hands.
MeTV Fresno, now on Comcast Channel 187.
You know, I mentioned in the monologue that Devin Nunes and David Valadao were not invited along. You did not see them coming down the stairs behind President Obama when he arrived in Fresno for obvious reasons. Both are Republicans. And, of course, Jim Costa, Barbara Boxer, Dianne Feinstein are Democrats. So Valadao and Nunes were not invited, even though both are really in the corner and favor more water storage here in the Central Valley to try to combat those drought years like the one that we're having now. Well, in our studio today is Robert Silva. He is the mayor of Mendota. Good morning. How are you, Mayor?
Good morning. Thank you, John. Thank you for this invitation today.
Hey, I appreciate it very much. So, let's, first of all, get it out of the way and talk about the president's visit. Obviously, it's been a while now since he arrived in Fresno. He made the appearance out at the farm there on the west side. held a little bit of a news conference, did not hold a Q&A, of course. What kind of an impact now that we've had a chance for it to sink in? What kind of an impact did his visit have here on the Valley, if any at all?
Well, first of all, let me go back a little bit. Okay, 2009, 2010 were the worst situation that occurred in Central Valley. We had the drought situation, and plus not only the problems with the Endangered Species Act. We did send letters, most of the mayors here in Central Valley, for him to visit the situation that was so bad at that particular time. We did get a response saying he couldn't come at that time because of scheduling problems. So again, in December of last year, late December, we did send again another invitation to Obama administration for him to cover the valley, because we anticipated the problems are going to persist here in the Central Valley of when they did the water cutoffs. So again, I don't know if that one of the reasons that he decided to come to this area, but it's an appropriate time. I think it was fine. It was great that he did come, but I think that he should have.
Why was it fine, and why was it great that he came? What was so great about it?
What did he do? To see the problem, first of all. But I don't believe that he did give enough time on this particular visit. I mean, he was only here in the valley like 3 hours. And believe me, if that. And I really believe there was so many things that he could have touched. First of all, he didn't really touch on the issues of what happened to small cities in the Central Valley, what happened to the human aspects. He did come and have some news about what the administration was going to do, but I don't think he reached hard enough. And that's the reason a lot of political leaders are getting together to send him a letter and maybe a possible visit for us to go to D.C. and touching on the issues that really hit the human aspect here in the Valley.
Well, I saw one editorial, I believe it was in the Sacramento Bee, right after his visit here to the Central Valley, and it said, he spent very little time here, offered up about 180, almost $200 million to try to combat the situation, the drought here in the Central Valley, and then a couple hours later, he flies to Palm Springs and offers $600 million to the King of Jordan. There's kind of something wrong with that picture. Do you find a problem with that?
Definitely. I really think that's it's more of an insult to where the situation is right now. Because this Central Valley, which supplies the world with goods and fiber, and yet all of a sudden we just get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And that is why the reason we're still talking, and a lot of political leaders are getting together and saying, you need to address these certain areas, because he did touch on certain areas. But to me, personally, I felt that he left a lot of issues out of the picture.
Right, and so you're disappointed with the president's visit then?
Well, I'm not saying it was a disappointment. It was good that he came, but still, I really believe he could have done a lot more. He should have gone out there and touched some people to see what the impact it does to the personal lives, especially to the farmers that are going broke, especially to the businessmen that are facing, a bunch of layoffs.
Well, he did go out and visit the farm of Joe Del Bosque, right? Out on
yes,
the
he
west side
did.
there.
As a matter of fact, I was with Joe that particular morning. I was with some other members that were there at the meeting with the president.
Right.
It was a very hush-hush affair, but I was that.
What do you mean it was a hush-hush affair? What does that mean?
Who was going to be invited?
You weren't invited, though. Why?
I really felt that.
Slighted? You were slighted?
I was.
Did you feel slighted?
I felt that him coming to my area, which I've been in the water wars for over 15 years, and we've been out across the nation, to D.C., telling the nation about how bad the situation is. He should have invited some political leaders. 20 miles from me.
He should have been invited.
He was only 20 miles from me when he landed. And I was with the original group, 3 folks that were there that day. I was with them that particular morning. They felt bad that I wasn't invited, but yet I didn't quite make it.
If you would have had the opportunity to meet with the president, even for a few minutes, what would you have told him?
Well, I would have told him, go look around. What is the impacts to the ordinary citizens here in the valley? The farmer going broke, the businessman that's in the brink of disaster, the farm worker that's out of a job, the food lines that we're going to be seeing again, because this situation now is worse than 2009, and that was a disaster. So we felt that he needed to touch bases with all the people that are involved in this situation here in the valley.
Do you feel it is the right thing to do to create more storage for water and not worry about what's going on downstream?
Oh, without a doubt. Like I said, I've been involved in this situation with.
How would you create more storage?
Well, first of all, you're talking about the storage area that's being proposed, and that's over here in the Temperance Dam area. It's over here by Millerton. That is a perfect place. I have visited. I've gone to many of these visits there, and I've talked to a lot of water experts. That Temperance Dam, Temperance Flat is the place to store water for the future. In dry years, you store it there.
Why isn't it happening? Tell us why it's not
Well,
happening.
first of all, you have to understand that in the political wars, the water wars, there's a Northern California factor and the Southern California political might that they're concerned about their particular area. The Central Valley doesn't have the political might, okay? It's been that way. We don't have the population. But everybody in the north gets what they want. Everybody from the south gets it. But
so what do you want to do, or what would you like to have done with Temperance Flat there?
Well, we need some funding for above storage. We need this in place, and it takes money. But we're going to be talking about it in November in the ballot. We need to put this in the ballot.
How much would that help if we had Temperance Flat?
Well, it'll help immensely. What you do, you store water in the dry years, and you leave it there, and then you utilize it in the dry years. So this is why it's so important.
Why can't that be done?
It could be done, but it's about
Why
money.
isn't it being done?
Because political leaders don't push it hard enough.
What political leaders?
And you're talking about people in office right now through the years.
Are you talking about Boxer? Are you talking about Feinstein? Are you talking about Costa?
These political leaders know exactly what it takes, but they can't get it together because there's so many of polls.
But who's against Temperance Flat? I want to know.
Well,
the three I mentioned?
No. As a matter of fact, there's Mrs. Boxer said she's indicated that she's for this kind of project. Mrs. Feinstein has also. But the thing of it is, you have to understand the environmental folks don't care about this. It takes away. They feel that they're threatened by water that comes from the north is going to be stored in this particular area. That is the biggest problem right now. The environmental issue.
Where would the water come from to fill Temperance Flat?
This would come from different areas around the region. So it makes a lot of sense.
And it would come from up above, rainwater.
Up above, exactly, because a lot of this water is escaping. We got Frying Dam, it's too small. But if you have another dam before that, that makes a lot of sense for storage.
Have one above it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why it's so important to have that right now.
Okay, we're talking with Robert Silva, the mayor of Mendota. No phone calls on this day because it is a special tape program here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno, talking about the drought. And the mayor here slighted, was not invited to participate in the president's visit here in the Central Valley not long ago. And, he feels he should have been in on the conversation. We're back with our program in just a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
We're back here talking to the mayor of Mendota. His name is Robert Silva. He's been the mayor over there for about 12 years and talking about the drought and the impact. And I want to roll a piece of videotape here, Mayor, and we can take a look at some of the dry farmland here in the Central Valley. And when I say dry, I mean dry as a bone. And there is the president coming off the plane again recently to visit one farm on the west side owned by Joe de la Bosque. However, this is not the farm, but it is a farm. It's one of the drier farms that I've seen anywhere. What are we looking at up there on the monitor?
It looks like an area out in the west side. They're trimming grapes at a particular time. They're showing the drip irrigation that's utilized out there by all the farmers now. Drip irrigation is the only way to do these days. It saves a lot of water, and believe me, that's because of the allocation that goes out in the west side. They got to conserve as much water as possible, and that's why they're using that drip irrigation now.
Look how dry that land is. Is this typical of any farmland out there on the west side?
Well, there's because of we've had a drought in the last couple of years. They shows the impact how dry it is.
Wow. So how many farms out there would you say are like this?
I couldn't tell you the exact figure. And I couldn't, and also you have to need to know there's
a dozen, half a
oh,
dozen.
No, you're talking hundreds of
farms like
out there
this.
that's impacted. One of the things that people don't realize why it impacts our community is because Weston's Water District is in our backyard. Weston's Water District is the least, they give least amount of water allocation. So in turn,
why?
They're the newest water district in the area. So the other water districts have these contracts that are dated back 100 years. This year, Westland's got a zero allocation. So what's going to happen is that the farmer is going to be turned into the two pumps, which is very costly, and the water is not as good as the regular water they get from the Federal Water Project.
Okay, so I want you to talk about the impact it's going to have on food prices. Are we going to have fewer fruits and vegetables to pick this year? What are the prices going to be like at the grocery store? All that kind of stuff, Robert.
Okay. First of all, you have to understand I had 40 years experience in the grocery business, so I know what happens to prices. And any time there's a lack of a product, that the farmers are not growing as much, it drives the price up. There's a limited amount because California ships all across the nation, so there's less of a product. So what happens to an average housewife? You're going to have for instance, a couple of months ago.
So that Greek salad's going to cost you more, huh?
Exactly. Every type of vegetable that's grown here in the valley and where the farmers didn't get their allocation, it's going to cost more to the consumer.
Lettuce, tomatoes.
It's already happened that there was some farms out there near the Huron area grew less lettuce, so that drove the price up. So that's the impact it's going to have in every crop here in the valley.
Okay, zero allocation of water from the feds this year. You already know about that.
Yes.
What's your reaction to that?
Well, we've been anticipating that, and of course,
no surprise.
It was no surprise, but yet to think about it, what's going to happen, because we already went through this. We've gone through this. We understand. We saw where we had to bring in the food lines, how it impacted our community, especially our city, which in 2009, 2010, when we had that drought situation. It impacted our city of less sales tax, of course, the highest unemployment in the valley. We had 45% unemployment. We're now thinking that's going to be 50% unemployment here in the valley, in the food basket of the world.
50% unemployment for those who work in the fields?
Well, you have to understand, when you say it's ag-related. Okay. See, most of the cities here in the Central Valley are ag-related.
Right.
So it means from driving a tractor, working in the packing sheds, picking the crops.
I want to know how many cities this will impact.
Well, the majority of cities here in the Central Valley. The majority of cities. Because farming is the key element here in the valley.
So that would include Fresno,
and I said
all
this,
the cities on the west side.
There was a discussion back in the 90s of how it would impact the city of Fresno. And I said, because I know about what happens.
How will it impact the city of Fresno?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of companies here in Fresno that sell product to stores and implement buildings.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're selling insurance or tires. When that ag dollar is not produced, that person's not going to spend any money buying insurance, buying a tire, buying refrigerators. So it impacts everybody.
So once again, just to clarify, the west side gets their main water production from the Westlands Water District, and they're not being given their allocation. Is that right?
Exactly. There's zero allocation. That was announced last Friday.
Right. And but even on any normal year, like let's say it's a normal rain year or a normal wet year, snow, rain, all that stuff. What's their normal allocation?
Well, through the years, they've been cut back from 100. You'll never see that again. And it was 50 through the years, and it's 40. I think one particular time it was like 40.
And it's because of the environmental groups?
Well, it's because of the lack of water, and plus the environmental groups, which you have to understand the federal laws that they have to give so much water to environmental species that are, they call them endangered. Okay.
Right.
So the majority
species,
of this water, the majority
like
of this
smelt.
is exactly, and the minnows and the salmon, all of a sudden they're thrown in there, and they're saying this is endangered. So by the law, they have to give this water to make those particular species happy to survive. So what happens? That water should be shipped in over here for consumption of crops, and that is the big fight right now.
Why can't they ship water in from somewhere else? San Francisco's 80% allocation. Los Angeles has their cut. They're getting a lot of their water from the Colorado River. Is that right?
This particular year, and because it's the last 3 years of drought, everybody's being cut. Through the years, the environmentalists have made sure that Hetch Hetchy right there in Yosemite that goes to San Francisco. That was done back in the 30s, but yes, but.
Why aren't the environmentalists worried about Hetch Hetchy that supplies San Francisco?
Because the majority of the environmental people are from Northern California, the Bay Area.
Right, so they want their water.
Well, of course they do.
Yeah, but they want to. They want to save the endangered species in our area, but not their area. Is that right?
Exactly, and I've talked to environmental people. I've talked to them. I've had debates with them. They're not concerned with the Central Valley. You have to understand, majority of environmental folks that in the Bay Area would care less if we survive here in the Valley. They've told me just like that flatly. They say that.
They don't care, huh?
They don't care.
One way or the other, if we go belly up, right?
Exactly. They think that the Valley means nothing to nobody.
Yeah, amazing. We're talking to the mayor of Mendota, Robert Silva. No phone calls on this day, talking about the drought and the effects here in the Central Valley and what it may cost you at the supermarket here in the near future. Back with our program in a moment.
Now, why don't you tell us the whole story right from the beginning? All right, from the beginning. This is the city, Los Angeles, California. My name's Friday. I carry a badge. Police officers.
You any idea who the other man was?
My partner's Bill Gannon.
Program?
We got just one big question.
Yeah.
When?
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Back here with the mayor of Mendota, and so when you talk to some of these environmental groups that say they could care less whether or not we go belly up here in the valley, don't they realize that we're the breadbasket of the world, and that's where a lot of their fruits and vegetables come from? The ones who live in San Francisco, the ones who live in Los Angeles. I mean, people who live across the globe actually get our fruits and vegetables here, at least if nothing less, across the nation.
The Central Valley provides so many different varieties of produce, and they ship it out. And one of the things I've talked to a lot of folks, because I've gone to a lot of conferences in Southern California, Northern California, and I've talked to a lot of environmental folks. They don't realize that where their food products come from. They don't realize until you educate them. And then all of a sudden they feel, and I explain to them that your price is going to go up, then they start thinking about, man, we got to work together on this thing.
All right, President Obama was here recently, as we all know, and he spent some time at the West Side farm of Joe de la Bosque, and so he stepped up to the podium and gave a little, 10, 15-minute speech, whatever it was. We've actually trimmed that down. I'm sure you've heard it before, but we're going to play it one more time for you here. President Obama offering up a little more than $100 million, nearly $200 million to help out the drought situation here in the Central Valley.
Today I want to announce new actions that we can take together to help these hard-working folks. First, we're accelerating $100 million of funds from the farm bill that I signed last week to help ranchers. For example, if their fields have dried up, this is going to help them feed their livestock. Second, last week we announced $20 million to help hard-hit communities, and today we're announcing up to $15 million more for California and other states that are in extreme drought. Third, I'm directing the Interior Department to use its existing authorities, where appropriate, to give water contractors flexibility to meet their obligations. And fourth, I'm directing all federal facilities in California to take immediate steps to curb their water use, including a moratorium on water usage for new, non-essential landscaping projects. And everybody, from farmers to industry to residential areas to the north of California and the south of California and every place in between, as well as the entire western region, are going to have to start rethinking how we approach water for decades to come.
All right, shortly thereafter, he flew to Palm Springs, offered $600 million to the King of Jordan. And so let's go over this line by line. I want to go point by point with what the president said. First of all, he wants to allocate $100 million to ranchers, the ranchers here in the Central Valley. Let's go over that point. How's that going to help?
Well, first of all, I think that's a drop in the bucket also. I think that he needs to worry more about availability of water in the short range, because that's what's needed right now. We need to get through this situation right in this particular time. That's why he should be concentrating of trying to maneuver water from the north to the south to take care of this terrible problem we're facing right now.
All right. He wants to allocate $20 million to various cities that are having problems. $20 million? I mean, how much is that going to help, and who is that going to help? What cities?
That's not very much. And also,
what cities is he talking about?
He's really not defining everything. But one of the things I'm upset is that he's allocating $60 million available to the food banks. Well, that's not enough. $60 million.
Yeah, he didn't mention that right there, but he.
But he's. I know that for a fact that that's what he's doing.
I know.
But the thing of it is, $60 million is nothing because, like I said, we're going to have such high unemployment in the valley.
Right.
That is nothing in food.
But $20 million to various cities? I want to know, first of all, that's a low amount. Second of all, I want to know what cities will benefit from that.
Well, it's not defining that.
Do we know?
And if it was something like Central Valley.
You don't know what cities, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Let's go to the next point. He says he wants water contractors to be more flexible. He wants to give them flexibility. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. What does that statement mean?
Well, I talked to a bunch of water folks, and they're confused about that also.
Okay. I don't know. Okay, and then he wants the federal facilities to curb water use. There's another line. I don't know what that means. Do you?
No, I don't. I'm really confused on that particular.
So we're both. I'm glad we're both confused on that, Mayor, because two of those points I have no idea what that means, and the money that's going to the ranchers and to the cities, I don't know. The food bank is going to get what, $60 million? You said.
$60 million available to food banks in the state of California. Well, that's nothing compared to what. This is a worse situation than before, so he should be putting out a little bit more.
Okay, we've got Mayor Ashley Swearingen, who has yet to appear on this program live. Hey, the invitation is open, Mayor Swearingen, if you want to come on the program. But she reacted to the president's visit when asked during a news conference.
Welcome. Can you talk a little bit about what you've been discussing with the president and maybe hit on what this visit means to the Central Valley?
Yeah, I thank the president for being here. This is clearly an issue of national significance. Welcomed him and thanked him for his attention to this issue, but I also made sure to point out that we have long-standing chronic issues of poverty and unemployment in the city of Fresno, even when we have plenty of water. Certainly the drought makes everything worse, but we also want to deal with the long-lasting chronic issues that face us in the valley.
What did the president say to you when you were talking with him?
He committed to helping us. He certainly wants to be a part of solutions here in Fresno and the valley. And I asked for help from his cabinet secretaries and asked them to say yes to Fresno.
Maybe you can confirm this for us. This is the president's first visit to Fresno, is that correct?
Yes, this is his first visit, and obviously this is a huge issue, and we're grateful for his attention.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Mayor Swearingen, of course, offering her opinion about what impact the president's visit had. But look, I'm a realist. And the reality of the situation is nothing more than a photo op for the president. What did he accomplish here?
Well, like I said...
is it just pressing the flesh and, yeah, I understand your problem, but I'll toss you a bone?
Well, we feel that way. A lot of us in the political arena are feeling the same way, that he should have done more, spent a little bit more time, and defined the issues that he wants to bring forward to this valley. And yet we question mark exactly what it means to everybody here. So that's the reason we're meeting where we think we might have to go to D.C., the political leaders here in the valley, and get this and push the subjects that mean something for this communities here in the valley.
Robert Silva, the mayor of Mendota, good to see you.
Thank you,
Thanks
Doug.
for coming in.
I appreciate it.
Hey, come back again.
Not a problem.
All right. That is going to do it for this edition of Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow.
After practicing law, Raymond Berg fought crime.
You have the right to an attorney.
As a hard-boiled detective on wheels.
Ain't it the truth?
His name is Ironside.
Perhaps you wouldn't mind saying it again.
His name is Ironside.
All right, now you've said it.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.